All right, let's dive into something that's totally changing the game for one of our most important professions. We're talking about AI, ethics, and what's next for the world of nursing.
Look, AI isn't some far-off sci-fi thing anymore. It's here. It's in our hospitals right now, in the health records, in the diagnostic tools, everywhere. But that brings up a really big question, right? The tech is moving at lightning speed, but are our nurses actually ready for it? And I don't just mean ready to use it, but ready to really get it, to question it, and to push back when it's wrong.
So, let's dig into that. What is AI's new role in healthcare? Well, it's way more than just another tech upgrade. We're talking about a massive shift here. It's not like learning how to use a new app on your phone. It's more like bringing a whole new kind of partner onto the clinical team.
And this, right here, is the absolute key. The old way of training, that click this button, then that button stuff, it just doesn't cut it anymore, not even close. The real challenge is teaching nurses to think critically about these tools, to actually stop and ask, hey, where did this info come from? Is it possible this algorithm has a blind spot? And is what it's telling me really the right thing for the person right in front of me?
Okay, so how do we actually build that kind of critical thinking? Well, turns out there's a new toolkit for this new era, and it's basically built on two really powerful ideas, two frameworks that can help us bridge this massive gap.
Think of it like a 1-2 punch. On one hand, you've got the rulebook. This is all about giving nurses the basic building blocks, the nuts and bolts of how AI actually works. But then you've got the sandbox, and this is where it gets fun. It's a creative space where they can play, apply what they've learned, and really poke at the ethical edges of this new tech.
Let's start with the rulebook. It's based on something called Turetsky's 5 Big Ideas in AI. It's pretty straightforward. First, AI sees the world using sensors and data. Then it creates models to make sense of all that information. And of course, it learns from that data. But here's where it gets really important for us. It also looks at how AI interacts with people, and, this is huge, how it can have amazing positive impacts, but also some seriously negative ones. This is the stuff every nurse absolutely has to know.
Okay, now for the sandbox. This is where things get really cool. It's a method called design fiction. Instead of just learning about AI from a book, nurses actually get to be designers. They find a real problem on the hospital floor, they dream up an AI tool to fix it, and they build a whole story around how it would work in the future. What this does is it forces them to think through all the tricky ethical stuff, the what-ifs, long before a tool like that ever gets near a real patient.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's start with how we train the next generation of nurses, while they're still in school.
So picture this. In a classroom, students could use those big ideas to tear apart a real-world diagnostic AI. They could dig into the data and ask, hey, is this thing biased against certain groups of people? And then, using the design fiction part, their assignment could be to invent a new patient monitoring app. Through that process, they'd have to wrestle with all the big questions: patient privacy, data security, you name it.
But you know what? This isn't just for students. It's super important for the nurses who are already out there on the front lines. The great thing is, these same ideas can be used to upskill the current workforce, to bring these new skills right to the hospital floor.
Imagine a hospital workshop that's not just about ticking a compliance box. Instead, it uses those big ideas to show nurses exactly how the hospital's own AI is shaping their decisions, for better or worse. Then, you could get a whole team together, nurses, doctors, the tech folks, for a design fiction session to dream up and maybe even argue about what an AI-powered triage system for the ER should look like.
And all this training and rethinking, it's all leading to one really big idea, a fundamental shift in what it even means to be a nurse today. The whole point is to move nurses from being just users of technology to being co-designers. And what's a co-designer? It's not someone who just takes whatever tech is handed to them. No way. A co-designer is an active, critical partner who has a say in how these tools are built, how they're rolled out, and, this is the big one, they provide that human, ethical oversight to make sure it's actually safe and fair for patients.
This quote just nails it perfectly. The mission has to shift from training users of technology to cultivating critical co-designers of digital health systems. That's it right there. It's about empowerment. It's about putting the incredible expertise of nurses right at the heart of all this new tech.
Okay, so this all sounds good in theory, right? But what does it feel like on the ground? Let's get a view from the actual front lines.
So there's this reflection from a nurse educator, and it really brings it all home. I mean, when you've personally seen an algorithm get a patient's risk score flat out wrong,
Or when you read an automated note that completely misses what you just saw with your own eyes, suddenly this ethical training isn't just some nice idea. It becomes urgent. It stops being an academic exercise and becomes about protecting your patient. Right here, right now.
And this educator points out a huge challenge, a real clash of cultures. In the classroom, it's easy to create this safe bubble where students can question everything. But then you get to the clinic, and it's all about speed, efficiency, just getting through the day. And that's the real fight, isn't it? How do you make room for that slow, critical thinking when the whole system is screaming at you to go faster?
And that brings us to a really powerful final thought. The whole mindset has to change. AI isn't some perfect, all-knowing oracle. The quote puts it best, it's a fallible collaborator requiring constant human oversight. It's a tool, a powerful one, but a flawed one. And it needs a smart, experienced human watching over it, always.
So, at the end of the day, as AI gets woven deeper and deeper into our hospitals, the biggest question isn't really about the tech at all. It's about us. How are we going to make sure we balance all this incredible innovation with the one thing AI can't replicate, the humanity, the empathy, and the critical judgment that is and always will be the heart of nursing?